So in both cases, the sales manager would be trying to perfect them. And I have news for you. This is really very difficult to do because, at Sales Management Mastery, on the Sales Management Mastery Academy, we really advocate low maintenance, high performance salespeople. And we've talked about the lazy sales manager's way to manage, but this is sort of the essence of the lazy sales manager, because if you're trying to go against the grain, if you're trying to constantly push water uphill, you're not going to be successful at it, and your efforts are going to be futile, and it's going to be very difficult for you to motivate and lead your team to where you want them to be. So you could be the second coming of Winston Churchill, and I don't think you'd just be able to get Joan and Tom to change a whole lot. In fact, neither will really change a whole lot in their entire lives, but their styles are so different, but they're both really effective. So why try to change them? Most sales managers would, but what we're advocating here is to take the path of least resistance and to draw more out of them what they already do well. So when it comes to this, average sales managers make the mistake of doing two things very consistently. They focus on, number one, fixing the sales rep's weaknesses, and number two, trying in a desperate and futile attempt to get their sales reps to be maybe more like themselves or sell like themselves. So there's two pitfalls there that you really need to watch out for. But I've got news for you here is that you'll never really get Joan to sell more like Tom, and you'll never get Tom to sell more like Jane. And further, you'll never get Joan or Tom to ever sell like you did. So what a top-performing sales manager does is push these sales reps to be even better at the things they're good at, while minimizing the things that they're not so good at. So in each case, all the character traits that we mentioned for Joan and Tom are really what we call talents. In the case of Joan, her rapport building, this easygoing manner of questioning, this kind of self-deprecating humor, those are all talents. And Tom's serious yet determined drive, his resiliency, his closing ability, and his timing, those are all talents as well. So what the top-performing sales managers do is they look at each of them and use those talents as a foundation to build and then further augment each individual salesperson's performance. Now, the top sales managers would constantly refer to these talents even when they're being reprimanded for something maybe even unrelated. Now, this is not to say that we don't want to try and improve Joan and Tom at all in their own talents. But what I'm saying here is that it's far easier to draw more of what they already have than to sort of put in something that isn't there in the first place. So in the case of Joan, let's say you're strategizing with her before a sales call, and maybe this is what you would say as far as your instruction goes. Let's say you're in a pre-call plan with her. So you might say something like this. So since you build rapport so easily, Joan, and ask such great non-threatening questions, you might want to approach the call this way. So what you're doing is you're kind of using what she's already good at in order to get across what you want her to do. So you're coaching and motivating all at the same time here. In the case of Tom, let's say you're on the phone with him going through a call, maybe recently he just made, and you'd interject something like this. Because you're so great at getting in to see decision makers and because people immediately have respect for you because of your persistence, I might approach the call like this. What do you think? So you're kind of you're giving them something to sort of go with on your coaching, but you're also motivating them and acknowledging those talents. So people love to hear about things that they're very good at. Everyone really wants to be a specialist and really, really good at one specific thing, if not many specific things. So you're making people feel good about what they're doing, motivating them, and also coaching them with your own agenda at the same time. So in both cases, you're building them up. You're referring to their talents, and you're using that talent to launch into how you want to proceed with the particular agenda that you might have or whatever it is that you're discussing with them. This could be just a passing conversation maybe, or it could be sort of in a formal strategy session. Now, either way really works right here. But what you're doing is you're drawing out their talent. And as Marcus Buckingham says in Break All the Rules, motivating them by more of who they already are is a far easier way to motivate and draw out talents, as opposed to trying to get them to become someone that they're not. So let's review. So number one, you first identify their talents. Number two, you then inject those talents and make mention of them in your discussions or maybe your coaching conversations with your salespeople. This motivates them to be more of who they are. You build rapport, trust, and respect with them in the process. But most importantly, they feel like you are accepting them for who they are instead of you trying to make them who they're not. And that is the real secret to motivating salespeople. Now, for hundreds of other sales management techniques and strategies, such as this one, you can find them in the Sales Management Mastery Academy, along with tons of done-for-you resources to help your sales managers achieve sales management success. To claim your free sales manager training inside the Sales Management Mastery Academy, including our most popular training of all time, How to Motivate Your Sales Team to Peak Performance, visit salestraininggift.com. That's it for this episode of Sales Management Mastery. Until next time, wishing you ultimate sales management success.
You've been listening to the sales management, motivational, and leadership training expert, Ralph Burns. Ralph invites you to discover the sales manager training secrets that will unleash a flood of new sales from your sales team. Visit salestraininggift.com and you'll get instant access to your choice of life-changing sales manager training techniques, only taught in the internationally acclaimed Sales Management Mastery Academy online community. Go now to salestraininggift.com. Sales Management Mastery.